Hope you're doing well. Uh, Listen, there, some common, I think, misconceptions. I heard somebody say recently that they needed to learn to forgive themselves. And I thought about that. I'm not inclined to be the judge of another person's mental attitude or the decisions they make towards themselves or the things that they've done, but I think it's quite interesting that we would think that we're in a position to forgive ourselves and also that it would even mean anything. So let's say that you have done great harm to another person and you choose to forgive yourself. Big deal. You forgave yourself. Is that other person any better off because you forgave yourself? Well, maybe you're not struggling with the same degree of guilt because you've somehow logically come to a rationale or conclusion that, you didn't really mean what you did. And I'm not saying that that's not the case. In Leviticus chapter 4, there's unintentional sins. In chapter 5, there are intentional sins. If they weren't severe, like murder, then there was a sacrifice for that. But we all have those unintentional things that we do, and certainly I think that kind of keeps our feet firmly grounded on this earth. We know our weaknesses and our humanity, and it shows up quite often, and it keeps us humble. But can I truly forgive myself? Well, what would it mean if I did? Can I blot it out? Can I say it didn't happen? Or can I just rationalize it away, meaning that I didn't really, I couldn't have done anything different because this is the way things went, and I'm just the product of the environment. Is that what we want to teach our kids? Of course not. We're teaching them that there's a internal mechanism that is separated from the material world that we live in, and that mechanism is your ability to choose and a conscience. The fact that we have this value system that is internal, and it relates to people and the things of this world and the value that we place on them and how we treat them. That's something that drives all of us. That's why the golden rule is to treat another as you would want to be treated. That's kind of like a basic baseline. This is how we treat others, the way we want to be treated. So, can I forgive myself? Well, let me ask you this. I read recently in a publication that God can't see your sin. Is that true? Of course he can. Is the Father any less omniscient than the Son? Is the Son any more omniscient than the Father? Is the Holy Spirit? Is he the only one? I think when we talk about these things, we talk about the way that the plan of redemption works out. Does the Father know of our sin? Yes, he does. Does he also understand the just judgment that was poured out on Christ for that sin? Yes, he does. So when it speaks of his forgiveness and his forgetfulness, not remembering our sin, he doesn't, because it's been paid for. Because Christ has taken that curse upon himself in Galatians 3:13, because he became sin for us in 2 Corinthians 5:21. So yes, I get that. And our healing does not come from our own self-worth. Like, I am finally at a place where I know I'm not a bad person. Actually, I am what I did. We could argue circumstance, but I'm still the product of what I did. What I am is a forgiven person, and the only forgiveness that truly counts, that sets my conscience free to stop trying to work these things out or rationalize them away, in Hebrews 9:14, is the blood of Christ. Thank God for that. We don't stand before God having worked these things out in our lives. We stand before God having fully accepted the work that he did. He's the one. It's in him in Ephesians 1:7, where we find our forgiveness. It's in him and his blood shed where our hearts are purged and cleansed. Not from the memory, but from the feeling of guilt that can't be appeased unless we're forgiven by the one who truly counts, the one that we'll all stand before. In Hebrews 10:22, it's the heart cleansed by the very washing of the water of the word and the blessing of Christ's sacrifice. Something to think about. Look, if we understand this about ourselves, then our life's value does not depend on being able to make amends for everything that we've ever done. Because truthfully, how could we? And the one that we truly have to make amends to, beyond even the human realm. I'm not saying that we shouldn't try and make amends. That's certainly true. But beyond all of that, the one that we truly have to make amends with is God himself. And that can't be done apart from faith in what Christ has done for us. Yes, we want people to know that we acknowledge our wrongdoing. Yes, that's important, without excuse. But yes, we also want people to know that we found our resolve for all the wickedness that's so much a part of our lives at the cross of Jesus Christ. And that the love that he poured out into our hearts as a result of our faith in him has altered that aspect of our life, that self-serving element of our life that caused us to be that person in the first place. Guess we're just a new creation. Till next time, friends, God bless you.